Good afternoon, everybody. A season-defining game between two sides fighting to stay up. Lewes gave their fans something to shout about in their last game at the Pan, and will be looking to do the same against the only side below them in the league. The majority of fans will be viewing this game as a must-win, but for the players, they will likely say that it is just as important as any other game. But here are the two teams that are incumbent this afternoon to try and steer their club's ship away from relegation. And it is 4 changes made by Scott Booth since their game last time out against Blackburn. Of course, keeping her spot in goal is Sophie Whitehouse. It looks like it'll be a back line of Cara Hamilton, Grace Garrett, Hannah Godfrey and Lois Hewcon. What the rest of the team and where they are is up for debate. A very attacking side named by Scott Booth, with Holly Olding, of course, being in midfield. No Amelia Hazard as she finds herself on the bench. Instead, there will be Grace Riglar, Maria Ferrugia, Jackie Hand, Sarah Brazero Carrera, and the only out-and-out striker on the pitch, Amy Claypole. Substitutes for Lewes. In goal, Emily Moore. Back on the bench after starting up in Blackburn is Rhiann Cleverly, Amelia Hazard, Ellie Hack, joined with Anna Gray, Chelsea Ferguson, Lois Roche back in contention, and Rihanna Blades. As for Watford, it's just the 2 changes made by manager Matt Bevans since their 1-0 defeat against Sheffield United. New girl making her debut is the 28 goalkeeper Beth Howard, as she started, or makes her debut after signing a temporary contract with the Hornets, an emergency loan due to the goalkeeping injury crisis that they currently have. Lucia Leon in defence, alongside Anna Mewald, who is the captain, with Abby Lafayette and Ellie Head completing the back 4. It'll be a midfield 4 of Annie Rossiter and Poppy Wilson on either side of the flanks, with Sophie McLean and Charlotte Fleming in between them in midfield. And a front 2 of Coral Haynes and top goal scorer, one that Lewes will have to look out for, Carly Johns. Substitutes for the away side: Gemma Davison, Bianca Baptiste, Andrea Georgiou, Megan Chandler, Alison Palish and Sophie Harris. Sophie Harris, a goalkeeper, typically a goalkeeping coach who had to in fact step in against Sheffield United due to their injury crisis in between the sticks. She was the only one available, and of course they've sorted out that issue with Beth Howard in goal. But what a game, what a seismic game this afternoon here at the Pan. Of course, the reverse fixture, Lewes were the winners in that result up at their Grosvenor Vale, where the Hornets play. It was 2-1 that afternoon. Cara Hamilton made it a goal, or put the Lewes up a 0-0, and then it was Bianca Baptiste who got the equaliser. But Grace Riglar, who got the winner that day, she's now become a very versatile player. At the beginning of the season, predominantly a centre half, who would find herself alongside Grace Garrett. Of course, Grace Garrett back in the lineup this afternoon. But it'll be interesting to see where Grace Riglar plays. Of course, the attackers you've got starting today: Maria Ferrugia, Amy Claypole, Brazero Carrera, Jackie Hand, and Grace Riglar there could be room for. So technically, there could be room for 5 attackers playing for Scott Booth's side, which is clearly how he wants to go about the game. Attack is the best form of defence. Will we see that be the case this afternoon? Time will tell in this absolute crunch match. Lewes on 13 points, Watford on 12. Both sides eyeing survival. And this is a game that a draw will not suffice, really. Both sides will have to go for the win. Maybe Watford will be more accepting of a draw due to the fact that they are away from home. But the pressure's on Lewes for them to perform this afternoon. They had a great performance against Sheffield United, one of the most controlled games you've seen at the Pan for the ladies' side this season. albeit it was a Sheffield United penalty that halved the deficit and got them back in it. Here is the debutant Howard, just playing it to Maywald, who finds us McLean, just dropping between both centre-backs. So they'll try and play it long. Cut out by Hukin, who makes her 4th appearance for the Rooks this afternoon. Watford trying to bring it forward, and now here comes Farrugia. Lewes looking lively here in the opening start of the game. Still Farrugia. She's been in brilliant goal-scoring form at the Pan in the recent weeks, trying to carry on that form, just making a dangerous run into the box. It's dealt with by Watford, but Lewes on the front foot here in the opening minute. Hamilton. Of course, the game originally was meant to be played at 2 o'clock. Now it's kickoff was at 2:30 due to the torrential rainfall experienced this morning, which could have prevented the game from being played full stop, but the referee, Lucy May, decided that it would be okay in half an hour's time, which is the reason as to why we see the kickoff at 1:30. Whitehouse being pressured by Johns. Has to be wary there, but she finds Godfrey. Deals with that early pressure from the Watford number 9 well. Godfrey trying to bring it forward. It was cut out by Johns, and Hamilton will just play it back to Whitehouse. Of course, Lewes just coming off a 2-1 defeat up at Blackburn last Monday. Scott Booth felt that his side just had enough of the ball, just didn't do enough with it, were too slow in their attack, which meant it was easy defensive work for Blackburn. Of course, Holly Olding managed to pull a goal back, but it wasn't meant to be up north. But can it be now with Claypole, who's had a great introduction as a Rook since she's coming on loan from Chelsea. Brazero Carrera trying to take it round the back line, takes it to the byline. No trouble there for Watford. Goal kick. Frustrating as well for Scott Booth, as he did mention how the 2 goals were lost from set plays. I think Lewes will have to be very careful of this afternoon. Scott Booth said in his pre-match words as well, that's cut out nicely by hand in the meantime, that Watford play some of the best football in the league, and when they get going, they're one of the best sides in the league, albeit of their position. When they play their game and execute their plan, they play some of the best football in the league. But so far, Lewes are looking good with Hand pulling it across the box. Farrugia was running in. Olding will head it into Hamilton. Slightly loose touch, but Hukin commandingly clears it out of play. Watford throw. So Lewes will also have to be wary. Kind words from Scott Booth. Of course, they've had some brilliant results of late. 2-0 win against Birmingham. 2-0 away win up at Durham, which have kept them in the mix and kept their survival hopes alive. Of course, London City Lionesses are down there too, as are Reading, and Watford still have both of those sides to play. Lewes are away to London City Lionesses as well in their run-in. Watford looking to cross one in early. It falls kindly to their number 10, Annie Rossiter, as she drags it wide. Let off for the Rooks there. But a good ball played into the penalty area. Rossiter's just unable to get that shot on target. With good old Sussex by the Sea being played as the anthem around the Pan early on in this fixture. Watford looking fairly lively when they get forward. Here it is down the left. Opened up nicely. Striking effort from Coral Haynes. It was a good block as well. Whitehouse didn't have to do anything as her defenders did the duty for her. But more threatening play from Watford as Wriglow will chase. And she is definitely playing in a striking position this afternoon. And it looks like Hand is occupying this right-hand side. So it's a Wriglow-Claypole partnership. Farrugia and Hand on either side of the flank. Brazero Carrera playing a free roaming role, but Hukin with the throw. Wriggler with a flick, Claypole with the touch. And it's offside. Short-lived there from Lewes. Here's Howard. Meewold, ball under her studs. McLean just running back to provide an option. Claypole and Wriggler just cautiously laying off the press as Claypole just runs in on her, and Hukin makes a good run down this left-hand side. No real players in red around her, almost kept on, but it is a corner. First corner of the game. And it's for the home side. A good run down that left-hand side from Lewes Hukin. She had no one in support. It was kindly gifted to her from the Watford defender, who managed to keep it in, but also take it out. Tried to play it back in, was unable to do so. The referee just blowing a whistle, Lucy May, having a word with the players in that 6-yard box. So Ferrugia with the delivery. Lewes with an early chance to open the scoring. Hits the side of the net. It didn't find a Lewes player. I think it went straight out of play. Howard just assessing her options. The new signing, of course, bought in due to the Watford injury crisis. Whitehouse clears it away first time after Hamilton just laid it off to her. That's a heavy touch from Haynes. Hamilton's voice, you can hear, saying the ball is gone. Hamilton completely, or showing her frustration, having a go at the assistant referee on this near side, Yashar Yekta, as he flagged or signalled that it was to be a Watford throw, and it clearly came off a Watford player. Hamilton then saying, come on, frustrated at his decision. And it did go the end of the way, it did go the way for Lewes in the end. But Watford have a free kick. Abby Lafayette tries to loft it down this left centre of the Watford attack. This time it is a Watford throw. We Will Rock You being played from the band. Very loud this afternoon here at the Pan, and Lewes fans know they have to bring the noise for this type of game, because it's a season-defining moment in how it will turn out. Watford with an early opportunity. Within 10 minutes to try and go a goal up here. Looks like it could be the left foot of Lafayette. But it's whipped in by Haynes towards that back post, troubling for Lewes. Beyond the byline, and it will be a goal kick. Unable to find a player in yellow and black. Whitehouse thumping it forward, trying to find Claypole as she does get a touch onto it. It's kept alive nicely, and that's a brilliant layoff from Wriggler as Hand tries to get it past Fleming. Good midfield work, but Hand wins it back. A brilliant run here as she lays off a ball to Wriggler. Just a bit too much onto that. She goes for the effort. Ferrugia! And it's in, but it's offside. Gutting for Maria Ferrugia as she's denied a third goal in 2 games at the Pan. But just before that, it was an excellent run from Hand. It looked like Charlotte Fleming got the better of hand, but she found Wriglar, who then attempted that lofted effort from the right side of the penalty area. Farrugia on the rebound, was in an offside position, found the back of the net, but it will be a free kick to the Hornets. Unfortunate there for Lewes, warning signs for Watford. As Howard takes the goal, or the free kick even. Holding gets underneath it. Picked up by Brazera Carrera, who's in a tight area, wriggles out of it, but gifts the ball away briefly, but Hukin is there to win it back for her side. Cutting it back as pressure from Rossiter continues. Garrett. Godfrey. Hand. Well worked, brilliant work here from Lewes down this right side as Hamilton looking up, Wriglar's there. As heads onto her, but it's a dangerous ball played into the box. Olding will pick it up, Farrugia will lurk, but unable to find Olding, but Olding wins it back. She looks to go from goal. Falls almost to Claypole, can she get it round? Unable to get it in behind the Watford back line as they now try and come forward. Hamilton with some defending to do in the Watford half. But they managed to regain the ball. Looked like that was just for a moment there, as Lewes could have won it back, but Watford will continue to play their game. So good signs here from Lewes. Jackie Hand linking up very well with the other players around her. But Watford looking lively here as Lafayette plays it into Haynes. She's just unable to execute that final ball, trying to find Rossiter. Instead, it'll go straight back into the possession of Whitehouse. Garrett. Loose touch there from Whitehouse, putting Godfrey under pressure, but Whitehouse will try and loft it back out to Godfrey, but then they give it away. Watford with an early opportunity here again, try and open up the scoring. Coral Haynes hits the bar. My word. The post rattled early on here as Watford will try and get the ball back into a dangerous position. Played out on this right-hand side. Coral Haynes potentially finishing off that move that was created by Whitehouse. And Watford on the front foot now. Warning signs from both camps. Coral Haynes denied by the woodwork. It was a lovely effort with her right foot. So it looked like she struck it sweetly and it was going to nestle into that side netting. A couple of centimetres to the left and it would have been 1-0 to the Hornets. But they have a throw now to try and make that the case. Headed away from Olding. And Claypole will get a flick on as she links up well with Hand. But brilliant defending there from Haynes. She just comes back to help out her side and plays it back to Howard. So far it's been fairly equal in terms of chances made, but Watford are probably just edging it in terms of threatening the back line of the opposition, and they look to be doing so now with Haynes. As Fleming tries to play it out to that right-hand side, unable to find a yellow and black shirt, so it will be a Rook's throw. Whitehouse, who hasn't had the best game so far with the ball at her feet, playing it back to Garrett as safely as possible. Good pressure there from the Watford player. Almost gifted away as Lucia Leon was trying to put Whitehouse under pressure, but that's brilliant footwork from Farrugia. Now Claypole. As Lewes are getting bodies forward here. Brazera Carrera is in some room. Wriglar! And it's in! Grace Wriglar opens the scoring here at the Pan in this game with such importance. Just after Haynes was denied by the woodwork, Grace Riglar down the other end, meets the end of that Claypool ball in and puts the Rooks 1-0 up. Relief so far here for Lewes. It's been fairly equal. We've seen it a lot in the championship. It's just down to who can take their chances. So far, Haynes wasn't able to and Riglar was. And it's Riglar that puts the Rooks 1 goal up and in the driving seat of this game of such magnitude. Grace Riglar with another goal at the pan, playing in that striker role, and she's doing it ever so well. Doing exactly what she's meant to do, and that's find the back of the net. Brilliant work from Claypole down that left-hand side as well, as she managed to thread a ball in. Excellent work from Riglar to find herself in room to get on the end of that ball, and so she did, beating Howard and firing her side into the lead. Olding. Godfrey looking up, trying to find a runner down this right. Brazera Carrera will offer that option. Hamilton with a brilliant interception. And here come Lewes again. Can they get a quick second? Claypole, or it's Riglar in fact, tried getting that first touch layoff to Brazera Carrera. Riglar continuing to pressure. Brazera Carrera going to win the ball back. And they don't give up, Lewes. Great determination shown on this right-hand side to just keep the ball in and create the opportunities flowing. Brazera Carrera just opens up room on her left. Lucy May just signalling. The referee, Lucy May, just signalling to Ferrugia as she will take the free kick, and it'll be another opportunity for Lewes. Their first opportunity to try and make it 2. And it'll fall to Maria Ferrugia, who's in fine goal-scoring form, but she will be the provider as Ferrugia lofts it in. Promising ball, but cleared away. They're unable to clear it out of their own half, Watford, but this time they'll get an opportunity to do so. So that Lewes chance is then nullified. And Watford just unable to keep the ball in, met to some jeers behind Beth Howard's goal from those in Lewes colours. Huken, who's been such an important player since she's arrived at the pan, as has that player there, Hannah Godfrey, who have just changed the dynamic of the side. Scott Booth mentioned how important it was to get an out-and-out left-back, something that the squad didn't have for the first half of the season. Ever since Huken was introduced, their record has improved drastically. Not only is it just down to Huken, but certainly a player that I think has been exceptional since her introduction at the pan. Lucia Leon. Playing it into Rossiter as she just tries to play it round, but Lewes win it back, and here comes Claypole, just trying to lay it off to the run of hand, who finds herself out on the left-hand side this time. The referee just saying it's a throw for the Rooks, which they'll be happy with. There's 20 minutes in. Grace Riglar getting on the end of that Claypole ball across the box and steering it into that far corner is the reason why it currently stands. Lewes 1, Watford 0. Lewes trying to make their, or increase their points gap of just 1 against Watford to 4. And so far they're doing that. Still 70 minutes of football left to be played. Hand playing it into Claypole. Lovely footwork from Claypole as she wins the corner. Amy Claypole, who's found the back of the net, of course, against Charlton. A tidy player, Amy Claypole, and for just being 18 years of old, someone with a bright future ahead of her. Firouzja, once again, with the delivery. She thumps it into the box, it's punched away by Howard. And that's a miscommunication there between Claypole and Hukin, as I think both of them thought the other one was going for it. And this opens up an opportunity now for Watford to come forward. Here is their top goal scorer on the left, Johns, up against the left back, Hukin. A bit of tussling going on between the two. Johns still with the ball as Brazero Carrera goes over to win the ball back. Instead, she gives away a foul, and Watford have a set piece to try and put a ball in. So Scott Booth said that Lewes need to be wary about set pieces. They conceded 2 of them, a throw-in and a corner on Monday against Blackburn, and they'll have to try and make sure that isn't the case this afternoon, and they've got another opportunity to show that they've improved on their set piece defending, as it's a ball played in with the right, cleared away by Olding. Bounces, allowing Lewes to just try and regroup, and they win the throw. Not the most threatening of deliveries there from Coral Haynes. It was unable to get any real height, allowing Olding to clear it away with her right in a fairly easy way. Rigler flicks it behind as Hand does the same into Claypole. Good hold-up play from Amy Claypole as Hand races to the ball up against their number 6, McLean. Hand, still Hand, as she manages to try and take it round McLean. In doing so, she then forces the foul from Lafayette. McLean, confused, feels she didn't foul, but of course it was the number 3, Abby Lafayette, who had the final touch on Hand that saw her brought down. Lewes with another chance, with a free kick again. Jackie Hand so far having a fiery and lively game involved in that collision. And it will be a yellow card. Lafayette into the book. So she'll have to be wary now, the centre-back. They're number 3. So the band in full sound as Lewes have an opportunity to double their lead. And this will fall to the hands of Firouzja or Hukin to put a dangerous ball in to make Lewes's chances of winning this game even more real. Lucy May still having words with those in the penalty area as we wait for Firouzja or Hukin to take this free kick. Lucy Mace having to go back and have more words with both sets of players. I think Riglar is the one that she's speaking to, as well as their number 18, Poppy Wilson. So Lucy May just making sure things remain in check. So far there's been a bit of push and shove between both sets of players, but now play will resume. And it will be Firouzja to loft a ball in. It's good. Olding meets it just beyond the post, but a good delivery from Lewes's number 10, and Olding just unable to find the back of the post. Howard. Olding intercepts with her head, but it almost falls to Leon as Hukin's up there. Now Wilson. So Lewes with a job to do to try and prevent the Watford front line from putting them under any sort of pressure. Of course, we've seen early signs of Watford threatening Whitehouse, and Whitehouse gifting them on a couple of occasions, but they've just been unable to make anything of it. Of course, it was Coral Haynes, her effort, where she tried finding that right corner, was met by the post. And Whitehouse fizzing it out to Hamilton. She runs onto it well and manages to drive it forward. Lewes bringing the ball deep into the Watford half as Brazero Carrera tries a skill, and she has a second go at it. And this time it works, and tussling there with their number 12, Ellie Head. So it will be another free kick for the Rooks. They're getting a lot of opportunities here to put in a delivery. Every time it falls to Maria Farrugia, who tries to be provider. The last one fell to Holly Olding. She was unlucky not to find the back of the net. Very close. Lewis will try to go a step further and make it 2. So Farrugia with her right hand raised. This time it'll be the left foot of Hukin. Can there be a different outcome? Almost. The same outcome. Finding a player in red as they were trying to steer it into that far corner, but just past the post. And it remains 1-0, but so far Lewis's set pieces have been threatening. They just haven't been able to make the most of them, which will be something they'll want to work on throughout the rest of this afternoon. As if they were to have taken a couple of those opportunities, they'd have really found themselves favourites to get over the line. Head under pressure from 3 red shirts, gets the foul. So half an hour, just about the half an hour mark. Grace Riglow's goal is what separates these two sides. But Watford, when they go forward, can look fairly threatening as that goes beyond Godfrey, but the tall frame of Olding is enough to deter Johns from trying to win it back at the byline. So currently it's half-time at Birmingham. That remains 0-0 with Blackburn. London City Lionesses find themselves a goal up against Sunderland, and Southampton currently find themselves 3-0 up against Reading at St Mary's. But only these two sides can focus on their own business, as Watford try to come forward as they search for an equaliser and a route back into this game as it falls to Leon. She brings the ball inside, just unable to execute a pass to Rossiter, and that allows now Lewes to bring the ball forward. Claypole continuing to chase the back line, but Howard calmly plays it to Lafayette. McLean. Lafayette trying to loft it behind. As Olding will just see that go out of play. So Whitehouse just taking her time with this goal kick. Firing it towards the right of the Lewes attack. Olding gets enough onto it to take it to Carrera, but at the same time, the referee believes she fouled Coral Haynes. So a free kick is the outcome, an opportunity for Watford to make it level. Haynes trying to play it cheekily to Lafayette. Lucy May hadn't blown her whistle. And Lucy May, the referee, so far stamping down her authority. You can see from and hear from the words she's saying to the players. Frustrated that Haynes took that before the whistle was blown. So she will have to take it again, but just for a second there, you thought that Haynes had caught Lewes off guard and found Lafayette in some room, but instead, her ball goes safely into the gloves of Sophie Whitehouse, never troubling the Lewes back line. And Lewes will be relieved. Whitehouse with the drop kick. Claypole and Wriggler up there as McLean's underneath that for Watford. Holding up there with Carrera. Hand chasing Lafayette. Of course, it was Lafayette who fouled Hand. Lafayette just thought that she was fouled by Hand as she had her hand onto her arm onto her. Nothing given. Thrown for the Rooks. Godfrey. She looks up to try and loft it in behind as Wriggler will chase. Lafayette now. Hand wins it back in a dangerous position here for the Rooks. Here is Hand, takes it round, trying to put a ball in. It will be a corner. Hand, the one that won the ball back and almost opened up an opportunity. Wins the corner for the Rooks. So here's Hukin. Farrugia close by, but it looks like it will be the left foot of Lois Hukin once again. Punched away by Howard. Carrera gets underneath that with her head for a second time as well, trying to keep it under her spell, but Watford understandably clear it as far away from their half as possible. Falls straight back to a player in red as they'll try and conjure up an opening deep from their own half with Whitehouse. Claypole knew she was in an offside position and stayed away from getting on the end of that Whitehouse ball. McLean, again, who's seen a lot of the ball so far for Watford in that back line. Her ball is then cut out by Garrod. Picked up by Carrera. She's then brought down, but play will resume as Wriggler noses an advantage. Hamilton back to Godfrey as Lewes had an opportunity to take it forward, but instead tried to play out from the back, and that's a peach of a ball played from Garrod out to Farrugia on that left-hand side. She's put under pressure from Meerwald. Still Farrugia showing her flair and winning a corner. Good work from Maria Farrugia, but props to Grace Garrod who found the ball and found that pass out to Farrugia. Another set piece. There's been a lot of them so far this afternoon for the Rooks. Just unable to make one count. Farrugia with an opportunity to try and make that the case. The ball unable to beat its first player. As Claypole will just drag it back and Hamilton will pick it up. As she looks up to try and thump it towards Garrod. She gets almost a clever flick. You could see what she was trying to do. This time she will feed it in. Claypole's there. Calls for a penalty from Lewes as they felt she was brought down. But Howard finds herself with the ball in her grasp. And there will be no penalty. So Howard with the drop kick, but Garrod just before then involved in a couple of nice bits of play there. Of course, the ball played out to Ferrugia, and just after that, the little back heel where she tried keeping it under a spell in a flared manner. Here is Garrod again, who's plays a prominent role in that left side of the centre-half partnership. There's an eye for a pass down the flank. One of her best attributes. Whitehouse just unable to pick out that pass to Hukin. So far her distribution hasn't been the most effective in what we've seen in previous games. But it doesn't matter, as Lewes will get a goal kick out of that Watford throw. So Whitehouse out towards that left-hand side. Leon is underneath it for Watford, the number 2. As they just decide to change throw-in takers just in front of Scott Booth's dugout, which has, of course, got the likes of Hazard on the bench, but in an attacking sense, Chelsea Ferguson, who's looked promising since she came in on loan from Brighton. And of course, the experience of Ellie Hack and Rhian Cleverley to come on, should they be needed in the latter stages of the game. But Watford with another throw. Hukin gets head onto it, but if anything, it helps out Watford as it finds itself in a dangerous position. Hands there doing brilliant defensive work and driving the ball forward to now try and open up an opportunity, picking a pass out to Ferrugia down that left. Fleming's onto her. Hukin's in some room to her left, but Ferrugia will carry on. Another corner kick for the Rooks. This time created from Ferrugia, who will probably be the kick taker this time. Opened up by hand, and Ferrugia winning the corner. Shaki Han looking ever so effective when she's had an opportunity. Turning defence into attack, looks very good in the transition. Can Lewes finish off this corner? Once again, not really the height to try and take it into the desired part of the penalty area. Unable to beat its first player as Ferrugia will sprint back to try and keep the ball in play, but it doesn't matter as Lewes have a throw-in. So Hukin with the throw once again. Trying to play it down that left-hand side as Riglos there. And thumped away by Watford. Garrod with a decisive touch there to stop any Watford danger in behind her. Brazera Carrera being tussled with, but opening up room behind her. Garrod. Now Godfrey. Hand, once again, picking out a lovely ball, this time down the right-hand side to Hamilton. She's in a rush to put a ball in. And it was a dangerous one too. Claypole was there, it was just over the youngster. Hamilton dangerous there down that right. A throw-in for Watford. As this game's open, been very open as we approach the final 5 minutes of the first half. Still Grace Riglos' goal that separates the two sides this afternoon. Watford haven't really had any opportunities or efforts at goal apart from the one that fell to Coral Haynes when she tried curling it in the back of the net. But that's excellent link-up play between Claypole as Riglos brought down. Once again, another set-piece opportunity, and this one for Lewes, more of a striking opportunity as opposed to a ball played in, which will excite Lewes fans around the ground. Will make Watford worry. And it's another yellow card, this time I believe for Annie Rossiter. Charlotte Fleming. As I've just been corrected, so Charlotte Fleming, the number 4 in the book. Thanks, I never actually get someone say that, so I appreciate that. So Olding from distance. We've seen her strike them from distance. Of course, it was the opening goal of the season for Lewes. Now that feels like a long time ago against Southampton, where she scored from similar distance, albeit the ball was in open play. She may fancy an opportunity to get another goal in Lewes colours, of course. She has an opportunity now, but instead she cleverly plays it along to Hukin, who fiercely puts the ball across the box, and Watford win a foul there. Good work from Watford, as Olding looked like she was going for the run-up to try and deceive Howard as if she was going to strike it. Tried to catch her off guard by playing it cutely to Hukin, but then that ball into the box, unable to find a player in red. Howard. Out to that right-hand side, and they bring it in field. But Brazera Carrera continuing to pressure. As Claypole cuts off the opportunity of a pass from Meewald, a forward pass that is. But Watford playing well here. As Head tries to keep it under a spell. Looked like Hamilton was going to win it back there, but Head managed to make the most of it. But that pass is cut out by Olding. A fairly heavy touch ends up turning into a pass towards Riglar. And Watford gift the ball away, and Lewes will try and create an opening here. A second opening. Godfrey. Trying to feed it down this right-hand side, but Riglar winning it back there. Ball just behind hand. So we're in a fairly cagey ending here. Wilson. Meewald out to that right. Haynes popping up in a pocket of room, finding Wilson. As their final ball is just unable to execute it well, and Hamilton. Lewes in danger here as Cara Hamilton brings down Head, the left back, who managed to find herself in behind. For a brief second, it looked like Hamilton could have been denying a goal-scoring opportunity there. Whether the referee believes that there were enough Lewes players around Hamilton for her to not be judged as the last player is the case, and that is the case. Hamilton into the book, but into the book with a card of the yellow variety. Lucky that Hamilton wasn't further back, as if she was to have committed that with no Lewes players around her, she could have been off due to the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. Regardless, Watford still have a chance at Whitehouse's goal from a striking opportunity and striking range as well. Coral Haynes, it looks like, will be a favourite to take this, or Abby Lafayette. So Lewes have to be careful here, as this could really change the complexion of the half-time team talk, as we're well into the final minute here of the first 45. Can Watford go into the break with an equaliser? Over the crossbar, not troubling Whitehouse. It was a curling effort that just wasn't able to find enough dip to find itself on target. And Lewes will feel relief after that opportunity. And just before that, of course, it was Head who broke in. But it will be 3 minutes added on of the final, or the second, So 3 minutes added on for the rest of the first half. Hukin. Riglar flicks it back, but Leon wins it back. Huken trying to play it down that left. Leon. Finding McLean in some room as she plays it back to Leon. Fierce ball in, met by the foot of Godfrey as she clears it out first time, but Leon continues to put another ball in, and that's headed away kindly. A dangerous opportunity falling to Coral Haynes, as it was Garrod who headed it away, showing her defensive instincts, but at the same time not getting enough onto it and allowing Haynes room to pull off a strike, albeit she hit it first time and therefore didn't get the accuracy she so desired. Maybe she took a touch. She could have been teed up an effort and tested Whitehouse more than she did with that effort. But Lewes won't care as it remains 1-0. Hamilton unable to find a player in red. Huken lofting it forward as Claypole gets a touch. A late surge here from Lewes. Can they find a second just before the break? Hand lofts it in, hits the crossbar. Ferrugia's there, surely not. And it's a corner. Watford worried here late on in this first half. Just before the break, it looked like they could have gone 2 goals down. Ferrugia once again finding the ball in a promising position, striking it with her right. Defending there from Watford meant that it will be a corner, but they'd rather that be the case than a second goal. But Lewes with another opportunity to try and make it 2. More distance on it this time, and it's into the back of the net. Once again, the number 2, Grace Riglar, getting her second goal of the afternoon and getting Lewes's second before the half-time break, putting them in even more control this afternoon. Grace Riglar in fine form, and Lewes joyous as they will be going into the break having doubled their lead. Lewes 2, Watford 0. Lewes fans delighted, and so is Grace Riglar. Her goal-scoring form has turned to gold since she's become a striker, or since she started playing that position. And that is the end of the first 45. Fairly cagey at parts in the final 10 minutes, but it was Grace Riglar who found the back of the net on 2 occasions. That means Lewes go into the break 2 goals up to 0. We'll be back in just under 15 minutes for the start of the second 45. Welcome back, everyone. The second half almost underway with both sets of players out on the pitch, ready to fight and battle it out in the second 45. And what a second 45 it could be. Where will the narrative shift? Right now, Lewes in the driving seat, in full control with a 2-goal lead, thanks to the number 2, Grace Riglar, who found the back of the net on 2 occasions. Lewes had a plethora of set-piece opportunities, and it came right to the very end of the first half when one finally paid off. Farouja's delivery on the far side, finding Riglar to steer it towards the back of the net and making it 2, doubling Lewes's lead, putting them in cruise control. They've had their team talk, Watford continuing to have theirs as the second half is almost underway. No substitutions made, so it will be the 11 of both sides that finished the first half. That will start the second. And so far it's been a battle out there. Lewes have had the majority of the possession in the other half and have controlled at points, have looked good going forward. Jackie Hand, exceptional too, has had one of her best games in red and black. And it'll be Lewes to kick us off underway. Lucy May blowing her whistle for the start of the second half. Lewes kick us off as Godfrey out to Hamilton, put under pressure. Watford will have to come out fighting. They've got such a tricky ending. Both sides have got such a tough ending. Of course, Watford do have a game in hand, but currently Lewes find themselves with a 4-point advantage on the side bottom of the league. Of course, Watford still have Palace to go away to, as well as Blackburn. They've still got Sunderland to host and Charlton, with their final game of the season being Reading at home, which Lewes would hope could be a fixture between two sides heading into the drop zone. Of course, London City Lionesses a goal up against Sunderland, which bolsters their hopes at staying above the drop. But of course, with how tight the top of the table is in this league, 5 of the teams at the top looking like they could potentially go up in Charlton, Sunderland, Crystal Palace, Birmingham and Southampton. It feels like every other week you're playing a side that could even go up to the Women's Super League. And that is the case for Lewes. Their next game is Birmingham. Then after that, Southampton. Then after that, they host Crystal Palace. And then their last game of the season, the London City Lionesses. So both these sides will face, on the last day, 2 sides that arguably are the closest to them in the drop zone. But it's still these 2 sides find themselves in the bottom 2, but they're both going down with a fight. Both sides fighting. Lewes so far winning that fight. And they have a throw. Farouja. Back to Hamilton. Farouja with the reverse pass to her in an offside position, which cut short any Lewes joy down that right-hand side. Free kick for Watford. Of course, interestingly, Hand is playing more in a midfield role, allowing Riglar to play in that attacking role with Claypole. Claypole and Hand have started the last 2 games together as a striker partnership. But so far, Riglar and Claypole are linking up nicely, as Farouja's lurking to try and latch onto a loose ball, but Bracero Carrera is there to try and drive it forward. Here's Hand, whips it in. Can they get an early goal in the second half? Watford say no, and they come forward now as Olding is around to win the ball back. Good work there from Holly Olding as they tried to play it down this right-hand side. Hamilton just looked like she could have lost out there for a second, but they continued to come forward. Hand, turn. Lovely run here from Hand as she takes it past a cluster of bodies, is brought down. Bracero Carrera looked like she could have opened up some room for a brief second, but Watford clear it away, and a goal for them would really change the complexion of things, so Lewes have to be wary of the threat they have going forward. Godfrey. Back to Hamilton. Whitehouse, in fact. Hamilton's the right back. And there is Cara Hamilton, not in goal. Is in fact, of course, the full-back, heading it out of play for a Watford throw. So an opportunity in the Lewes half for Watford to try and conjure up an opening. It's kept alive. Looked like Wilson was going to go for the strike. It is almost played in. Garrod makes sure Johns doesn't get any lethal touch onto that. It will be a throw, though, for Watford. The throw from Fleming. It teases Godfrey, but she gets her head onto it. Johns tries playing it back towards the centre of the box, but Claypole will hold it up nicely, and Hewcomb will clear it forward as McLean gets her head onto it, followed by Riglar. Ferrugia just runs away from it, and now Olding tries to play it forward. Pinball going on in the middle of the park as Garrod is then brought down by Johns. Heavy touch there, but Garrod gets back up on her feet like nothing fazed her. And Riglar then clipped by the captain, Meewald. The referee had a lot of officiating to in that first half. Blows her whistle for the first time. Cleared upfield by Hewcomb, but that falls kindly through to Haynes as she puts the ball into a dangerous area, unable to find a player in yellow and black. It was lofted towards that back post. Kept alive here from Poppy Wilson. Thumped forward as Hamilton intercepts, but Wilson wriggles away from Hamilton and strikes it at goal. Tipped over by Whitehouse. Fingertip save, and it will be a corner. Whitehouse said she didn't get a touch onto it. It did look like she did, in all fairness. The replay will be the deciding factor as to whether she did get the decisive touch. But it will be a corner and an opportunity for Watford to try and pull a goal back. On that far side, Haynes with her left hand raised. Headed away fiercely by Hewcomb. As Ferrugia tries running on to get on the end of it, instead it'll fall to McLean. It will be a throw for Watford. They've come out fighting in this second half. As Riglar's clearance is an awkward one as she slices it. Going in behind her, in fact. Another throw for Watford, this time in a more advanced position than the one prior. So a throw for Watford in their final third. Headed away by Olding. Hand unable to get any real connection onto it, but they bring it forward here, Lewes, through Claypole. So Sheffield United, of course, have beaten Crystal Palace 2-0. Charlton have beaten Durham away 1-0, and currently London City Lionesses find themselves a goal up at Sunderland, or against Sunderland. And Southampton have made it 5 against Reading, bringing Reading further into that drop zone. Or further into the conversation of relegation, which Lewes are trying to pull themselves out of, and Riglar has done a job at trying to ensure that to be the case. the top of the table starting to get more stretched. Johns into a dangerous area. Garrett is there. She heads it away. Farouja, 2 yellow-black shirts around her, forces the foul from Fleming, who clearly shows her frustration at Lucy May, believing it wasn't a foul, but Lucy May doesn't think so. So how the table currently looks. Watford, of course, on 12 points. Lewes on 16. Reading on 18 points. So 2 points separates Lewes and Reading, albeit Reading do have 2 games in hand on the Rooks. And then when you look further up the table, London City Lionesses on 19 points. That 1-0 lead against Sunderland is really keeping them afloat of the bottom 2. What a touch from Claypole in the meantime, though, to keep that under control as that ball was played from deep. The referee gets in the way of Bracero Carrera, but she doesn't dispute that and carries it on and plays it out to this left-hand side. Hukin up against Leon, putting a ball in, goes straight out of play for a Watford goal kick. Good work there from Bracero Carrera. You often see when referees get in the way that the players then don't continue to play and show their frustration. It's like they want to blame the referee and show their frustration. But there, Bracero Carrera just wanted to continue and carry on. In the meantime, a substitution. Bianca Baptiste comes on for Ellie Head. So the left-back, left-sided player, Ellie Head, comes on for the attacker, Bianca Baptiste, who in fact scored the equaliser at Watford in this reverse fixture in October. She cancelled out Hamilton's goal, but of course it was Grace Riglar who scored the winner. So far she scored 2 very important goals this afternoon. Lewes with bodies forward, Farouja driving it after she just cuts it in on her left. Hukin with a first-time ball in, unable to beat Leon, and it will be a throw, as Lucy May indicates. So Hukin, who wrapped her foot around that ball, came off Lucia Leon. It's back out to Bracero Carrera with that reverse pass, unable to find any real quality in that touch. Out of play for a Watford goal kick. So of course, Bianca Baptiste has just come on. Found ourselves playing at Tottenham Hotspur for 9 years. In those 9 years, 130 appearances, 59 goals, almost a goal every other game. And so far has been at Watford since 2022. So here she is, Baptiste, with her first touch since being introduced for Ellie Head. Ball falls kindly back to Godfrey. Now Whitehouse lacing her boot through that. Ooh, tough challenge there between Riglar and Meewald as they both collide with one another, and props to the pair of them. It looked like a heavy collision and both players eager to carry on. Didn't go down, which really displays the courage both sets of these players have in what is a battle this afternoon, this type of fixture down at the bottom. Both sides really fighting, and it's very commendable how neither side are allowing the situation to let their heads drop, especially Watford, given the circumstances. Of course, the afternoon is in Lewis's favour as things stand, but Watford are still showing determination to get back in it. Of course, they were the side that got promoted from the 3rd tier of women's football, and it looks like it will be a return back to the division they got out of last season. Opportunity here for Watford, but it's short-lived as Lewes clear it away. Wriglar up there. Ball played forward, comes off a Watford shirt. Lewes throw. Just before the hour mark, Lewes 2. Still Grace Wriglar's brace. That is what separates these two. Wriglar up there, but Hand tries to weave away from Fleming, and doing so she wins the foul. The free kick too in the Watford half. And you'd think a third goal would really seal the deal for the Rooks, albeit still half an hour left to play. They want to ensure this game doesn't end like it has done previously, especially that game against Reading, which could prove to be so important given how the table currently lies. Reading just 2 points above Lewes, and of course their late 2 goals here at the Pan 2 months ago could prove to be extremely decisive at the end of the season, but so far this is all that matters. Olding, can she have a say? She looked like she may have teed one up from distance, but the referee calls it back due to a worry about a head injury from Coral Haynes. Hopefully it's just precaution shown from Lucy May and the Watford medical staff. Both sets of players rush over to the touchline to have their team talks on the hour mark to just discuss tactics for the final half hour. Luckily, Coral Haynes is all good to carry on. There was no concern. For a brief second, when you see both sets of players rushing over to the bench, one could assume that it's down to a high concern of a very bad injury. But luckily, that is not the case. Both sets of players just keen to get a tactics discussion in before what will be a very important end for this game. An important end for the season as well. There is going to be a substitution. Amelia Hazard is going to come on for Brazero Carrera, who's looked silky in the middle of the park. Very good at turning away from danger, and it's a fairly defensive change made from Scott Booth, albeit Hazard does have an eye for a ball into the box. It's more of an attacking midfielder coming off for a defensive-minded one in Amelia Hazard, keen to get stuck in and break any opponent attack down. So Amelia Hazard coming on to see this game out. Farrugia out to Hukin. Hazard with her first touch on the ball since she has just come on as a substitute up against Meerwald. As Johns, the striker, goes in to help out, doing her defensive duties deep into the Watford half. Haynes' touch allows Hukin to run onto it. Olding with a second attempt to win the ball back. Cleared away by Watford. Lewes with a throw. No debate about that. Hukin with a lengthy throw, aiming for Claypole. Will find Farrugia. Watford win it back and clear it forward. Godfrey will just clear that up, but Hamilton slips and allows room in behind her. That's poor, though, from Watford, as they had a chance to break forward. In the meantime, Farrugia looks to be winded. He'll just be checked by Lucy May, but poor from Watford as Hamilton slipped, and it looked like it was going to be a golden opportunity for Watford to make a chance down that left. Farrugia back up on her feet, so she'll be fine to carry on. With no substitute made from Scott Booth, looking like Farrugia could be coming off anytime soon. Wriglar finds its way through to hand. It will be another throw for the Rooks once again. They're taking their time, and you can understand why. Just over 25 minutes left of the full 90. Lewes haven't really woken up in this second half since the break. Ball feels like it's been out of play more than it has in play. Olding's fierce ball forward, trying to find the run of Claypole, but it's beyond the youngster and straight into the grasp of Beth Howard, who, of course, due to injuries from Middleton, Patel and Goldsmith, the other two goalkeepers for Watford, has meant she's been introduced. Wriglar on a hat-trick now, of course, but finds herself out on the right-hand side, up against Lafayette, trying to find an inverted run of Hazard, as it looked like she managed to get him behind, took it to the byline. And it will be a corner. Confusion there over on that far side, as it was Hazard who took it round on the byline. Took it past the Watford player, and doing so, the ball went out of play. It seemed like Hazard just showed too much of the ball, but in fact, it was a touch from a Watford player that saw it go out of play. And in fact, Lewes have a corner now, and it will be Lewes Hucon. The last corner Lewes had, they scored from it, and they'll look to do just the same now. It was Farrugia with the delivery. This time, it will be Hucon with the delivery. And an opportunity for Lewes to surely seal the deal. Lewes Hucon, a congested 6-yard box. Hamilton furthest back. Hucon, plenty of whip on it. Punched away by Howard. It will be another corner for the Rooks. As the noise increases behind Howard's goal in support of this Farrugia corner. So Farrugia with corner-taking duties once again. Can they find the back of the net? Instead, it will be a goal kick, which is the outcome. Nothing to shout about there for the Rooks, like there was just before the break. Lafayette playing it forward, trying to find Johns, but instead Olding will be underneath that. Hazard first time clearance, Farrugia picking it up and looking like she wants to have a go here. Claypole, can she open up some room? Here's Hazard, can they get a third? Hazard chasing Howard too. Brief worries there again for Watford, as Claypole managed to keep it under her spell and lay it off to Hazard. Just couldn't quite execute that pass that Hazard would have wanted. But still more warning signs shown from Lewes. They've looked to be getting slightly more lively in this second 45. As that's chased from Carly Johns, their top goal scorer. Hasn't really found herself in room or had any real opportunity to test Whitehouse. Of course, she signed for Watford after they got promoted last summer. Signed from Oxford United. 52 goals in 76 games for the Oxes. A brilliant return, which rewarded her with a move to Watford. And she's netted 6 times. That's a loose touch, which Claypole will run onto. Here's Hazard as she changes direction. Put under pressure by Fleming and gifts the ball away, but Lewes win it back well. Through Hamilton, Hazard poking it forward, trying to find Wriglar. Watford will now win it back. And they'll get a throw. So Sunderland and London City Lionesses is finished 1-0 to the Lionesses. What a win that is for them. Sunderland still remain top. They'll be happy Crystal Palace lost to Sheffield United, as Palace are just onto them on second. Here's an opportunity. Struck there from Baptiste. Routine from Whitehouse as she just collected the ball. But the first effort on goal, the first shot on target, and it's fallen to Bianca Baptiste, who found the back of the net against the Rooks at Watford in October. Unable to find the back of the net so far in this fixture. Hamilton's clearance towards Ferrugia is met by Leon. Back to Howard as she collects from her right and sprays it out to her left. Back to Howard, this time favouring down this right-hand side, assessing her options. As McLean, the central midfielder, just drops deep between the two centre-halves. John's dropping deep as well to lay it out to Meerwald. Olding winning it back. Garrett down this left. Here come Lewes through Olding. It's a poor pass as Ferrugia was just in front of that from Olding. And now Watford tidily cleared it up as Leon tries playing it in behind, but Hukin's there to cut out that forward pass. "70 minutes gone and Watford knocking on the door here. Trying to make this possession in the Lewes half count, but they're unable to as Leon's pass in towards the substitute Baptiste falls straight back to Whitehouse. Godfrey. Of course, weirdly enough, this doesn't feel like it, but the penultimate game at the Pan for the ladies. The only other home game is Palace at home. And that'll be a big ask to get the 3 points. In the meantime, a yellow card is awarded to Coral Haynes following her challenge on Amelia Hazard. Time being taken before this free kick. There will be a substitution though, and it's one of the most experienced players in contention on the team sheets this afternoon, Gemma Davison, who comes on for the number 10, Annie Rossiter. Gemma Davison, 36 years of age, been in 4 Women's Super League winning sides, Arsenal in 2012, Liverpool in 2014 and Chelsea on 2 occasions in 2015 and 2018. Spent time in America as well. But a very experienced 36-year-old coming on. She can play down the wing. She's going to try and cause some issues for the Rooks in the closing 20 minutes here. Olding contesting with Haynes, who's just found herself going to the book, but she wins it and continues to play it out to this right-hand side. Leon making a darting run forward, aiming to play it down that right-hand side, and the ball looks like it almost came up to the gantry following that clearance from Garrett. Anywhere will do for Garrett. Even the gantry. A throw-in for Watford is the outcome. Fleming. Plenty of length on that throw as it manages to find its way through to Johns. Calls for a penalty, and you could understand why, as it looked like Lois Hukin got Johns and not the ball. Obviously, a replay will demonstrate whether that was a penalty or not. But it looked fairly concerning there for the Rooks, but they won't care as play resumes, and it was a goal kick, that was the outcome, but Watford looks to try and pounce on that pressure as they have a throw in their final third. Lewes have to be wary, and sometimes a controversial call like that can spark the opposition that feel hard done by. And Carly Johns feels like she was fouled there. But they've got the ball in a dangerous position here, Watford. Another throw-in on this near side, taken by Fleming. Aiming for Leon, but instead the commanding figure of Olding gets a deciding touch onto it. Played forward, and that's a brilliant touch there from Baptiste. Back out to Baptiste. Left by Fleming. Whether that was intended or not, it still found its way through to Lucia Leon. But Olding with a great tackle. The referee blowing a whistle. Will be a free kick for Watford. I believe advantage was played by Watford, but didn't see out its full duration as Lewes found themselves with the ball at their feet whilst the advantage time was still going on. So it will be a free kick for the Rooks, for Watford, of course, against the Rooks. The Hornets with an opportunity, and if they'd score here, this really would make it a nervy ending, and we've had a lot of those at the Pan this season. Can they make this set piece count? It'll go to Lafayette, punched away by Whitehouse, struck goalwards, blocked by their own player, Watford. It was Leon who blocked the opportunity, and Claypole gets a touch onto it, but unable to steer it towards the red shirt, and that's nice feet there, shown by Lafayette, trying to take it past Hucomb, but instead there's plenty of room for Farrugia to run into. Haynes tracks back, she has to be wary as she is on a yellow. Still Farrugia across the area. Claypole was lurking. Farrugia was unable to get her second assist of the game. Unfortunate there, as Claypole was in a promising position just in front of Amy Claypole. But a good breakaway from the Rooks. So goal kick is the outcome. Less than quarter of an hour to go. The referee blowing a whistle. Whitehouse is down, which will frustrate Watford fans behind her goal. Looks like she's got problems with her right knee, which of course is strapped up now, right now. Whether it's any real cause for concern, of course, you do have Emily Moore on the bench, who hasn't featured in the league since the 22nd of October in that 2-0 defeat against Sunderland. Hey guys. Of course, Emily Moore on the bench has taken the role of second goalkeeper since her arrival at the Pan at the beginning of the season. Whitehouse still down, just getting her right leg checked by the medical staff, which will see some more added time. So, of course, Birmingham and Blackburn is all but finished, and it has finished now. 0-0 between those sides. Southampton finished their game 5-0 winners against Reading. And London City Lionesses triumphant against Sunderland. Meaning just Lewes and Watford left to be complete. Whitehouse back up on her feet. So just the bottom two to play it out. London City Lionesses just 3 points ahead of Lewes. They really will be looking over their shoulders in what is such an important result so far for the Rooks. And such a devastating result for Watford as they play out from the back. Howard to Maywald. Sprays it out to that left-hand side to Lafayette. Hamilton trying to find Claypole. Instead, it'll go beyond the byline for another goal kick, occupied by McLean. Howard out towards Leon. Riglar chasing in on the Watford number 2. Now Baptiste. Hoofed forward. Olding once again. Holly Olding, ever so impressive in the middle of the park. Not only can she bring the ball forward and connect passages of plays together, it's always Olding who's leaping up to intercept those long balls that we see a lot of when teams like to go direct in this division. Cut out as Watford tried to play it quickly, but Hukin read it well. And that's played forward. Riglar chases the captain Maywald, but it falls kindly back to Riglar. Back to Farrugia. Cutely plays it beyond Leon. She takes it to the corner flag. Comes off Hazard as she looks frustrated there as she's unable to keep that pass under her spell. Thumped forward, Hukin. Out to that left-hand side. Hamilton chasing Lafayette, but Godfrey gets the decisive touch onto it as she slides in. And now Hamilton bringing it forward. Riglar lays it off to Farrugia, who just uses her back to open up room. But calmly just plays it back to Garrett to just slow the tempo of play. Olding intercepted and the ball's taken off her by Wilson, but that's an exceptional tackle from Olding. But Watford continue to threaten the Rooks, but instead Lewes have a go as Claypole chases the ball up against McLean there, but it's McLean who gets there first. She was just a yard in front of Claypole. Haynes trying to thread a pass up to Johns. So just under 9 minutes to go. Riglar flicks it. But it will be a Watford throw. So 2 substitutions used by Watford, just the one made by Scott Booth so far, and you don't blame him. He's very satisfied with what he's seen on the pitch. But of course you do have the experience of Ellie Hack and Rhian Cleverley and Lois Roche, who can come on to just see this game out. Perfect substitutions at his disposal for how this game currently is. Throw in for the Rooks as the band is in full swing behind Howard's goal. Singing The Great Escape. Could there be a great escape? Looking more likely for Lewes than it is Watford as Hazard sprays it out to Godfrey. Hazard contesting. Haynes finds herself with the ball, back to Leon. Hukin mistimes that, and Baptiste tries to run onto it, but Olding anticipated it well and plays it back to Whitehouse. Here's Garrett, cuts it in on her right and threads the ball upfield. Beyond Riglar. Not enough onto it to find Claypole, and Leon will come forward, who's found herself with the ball a lot in this second half. Hamilton back to Godfrey. Claypole's there as it goes beyond Claypole and Lafayette. 8 minutes to go. Plus stoppage time. And Ellie Hack is looking like she will be making way as she's just in the wings waiting to come on and see this game through. But that's a nice pass played from Haynes out towards Lafayette. Here's Wilson, who looks to cut it in on her right. Wilson from distance, blocked by Hazard. Played forward as Riglar up against Fleming, finds Claypole. Brilliant turn from Claypole as she opens up room to Farrugia. An opportunity for Lewes to get a third and seal the 3 points. Farrugia still with the ball at her feet. Good defending there from Meerwald, but an excellent return pass. Farrugia, Riglar brought down, no penalty, and Howard claims that ball. But it was the return pass from Hazard back to Farrugia that found a clear-cut opportunity, struck straight at the goalkeeper. But now Watford come forward. End-to-end stuff here at the pan. And you can understand why, as we're so late on here. Here's the experienced substitute Davison. Still Davison looking up, trying to spread out to this right-hand side. And Wriglar, who's the furthest forward, strikes it from distance, aiming for that hat-trick. Tried sealing it in dramatic circumstances from so far out. A halfway line goal was her attempt. Didn't get any real distance to trouble Howard. The referee blows a whistle. It's a foul on the Watford player, Davison. But it will be a very defensive change. Amy Claypole, albeit she hasn't found the back of the net, she still had lively opportunities, linked up well, of course. Her feet are so tidy, works with the ball so well in tight situations. And Ellie Hack comes on, centre half for centre forward. As Ellie Hack comes on to play in between that back line of what looks like Hamilton, Godfrey, Hack, Garrett and Hewcombe. So back five with Wriglar the furthest forward. One back by Johns. An opportunity for Watford to really change the ending of this game. Leon contesting with Hewcombe. Both sets of players screaming to the fourth officials that it should be their throw. And it will go in the way of Watford. Here's Fleming. Sprays it out to that left-hand side. Lafayette in towards Haynes. Here's McLean. Now Mearwald, the captain. Leon taking it round Hewcombe onto her left. Leon trying to thread the ball. You could see what she was trying to do. Trying to find Johns, but instead Hack will intercept. McLean put under a bit of pressure from Wriglar. Mearwald. Pass into Leon, who manages to use her body to get in behind Hewcombe. This is a promising opportunity. Garrett stretching her leg to avoid that ball from posing any real threat. Right, you're good, you're better than me. I wish, one day. One day. So Fleming with the throw. In towards the box. It's a loose touch, but it's still alive here for Watford. As Fleming from outside the area opts for the short pass. Mearwald will then loft it in, but Hack with a commanding header finds Frugia. They're unable to clear the ball away successfully, allowing Davison to run onto it. Quick feet here from Davison as Hazard keeps tabs on her. She gets it round Hack and is brought down by Olding. A promising opportunity here. Striking angle here for Watford as we're within the final 3.5 minutes. No goal in this second half, but Watford with an opportunity to half the deficit late on and spark an extremely dramatic comeback. That's what they'll want to be doing anyway. Lewes with Wriglar, Godfrey, Garrett and Hand all in the wall to try and prevent it from heading into the back of the net. Instead, it goes beyond the woodwork, doesn't trouble either the wall or Whitehouse, and Lewes will be relieved. Two substitutions coming on for Watford, though. It will be Wilson and Fleming to come off. Poppy Wilson making way in Charlotte Fleming for number 17, Megan Chandler. Megan Chandler, who comes on, won the Player of the Year last season for Watford, signed in 2019 and is the club captain. Has played with Watford through 2 promotions. So a fan's favourite, Megan Chandler, she comes on alongside Alison Palish. Whitehouse thumping it out towards this left-hand side. Goes all the way through to Mearwald. Howard. Meerwald. In towards Haynes with a lovely turn and an even better ball through to Baptiste. Johns just needs to compose herself. Still Johns, good defending from Lewes, forcing her out wide. Baptiste, left-footed. Garrett heads it away. Haynes clipped, but nothing given as she believes she was fouled. Farouk. Hazard. Trying to play it out towards Hamilton. Thumped forward, but Garrett once again gets a decisive. Oh my God! Gets a decisive touch onto it. Baptiste. Thumped forward, finding Johns at the byline, but Olding's onto her. It will be a goal kick. Just under 30 seconds left. So Haynes with the ball on this near side, an opportunity. Haynes lofts it in, unable to find a header. Davison strikes it low. Johns makes it 2-1. A 7th goal of the season for Carly Johns, and a nervy ending for Lewes here at the Pan. They're not giving up Watford. And the top goal scorer halves the deficit here for what will be a dramatic ending of the game. Not what Lewes wanted, but they've got it anyway. On the stroke of the 90th minute, Lewes couldn't keep it out. Brianna Blade's about to come on. What a tense ending we have here now. It will be Maria Fruge. Blades. Wriggler. So the 90 minutes have been played. No stoppage time has been announced as of yet. Olding spraying it out to this left-hand side. Watford now with a spring in their step, and you can understand why. As they look to try and make the points shared at the least. Davison, who had a part to say in that goal. Lewes, can they put themselves back in front by 2 goals? Olding spraying it out to this left-hand side, unable to find a red shirt. Cleared upfield, unable to leave their half as Olding gets a touch onto it, but it's straight back into the possession of Lafayette. She clears it forward. Johns, the goal scorer for Watford, is up there. Hamilton stretches out her right leg to retain the ball, but it's given away to Lafayette as Blades was unable to get on the end of that. Davison in towards Palish. Here's another potent opportunity for Watford. Haynes threads it in. Johns is there. Picked up by Meyerwald. Now Leon, who's had a good second half. Puts in a dangerous ball. Whitehouse cradles that ball as she collects it and comes down low. Godfrey signalling to the fans with her arms to bolster the atmosphere and to get people excited of what could be Another Lewes win, 2 home wins in a row. This could be for the first time this season. Wriglar trying to cut that pass out. Hazard with a commanding touch forward. Still unsure as when the full-time whistle will be blown, as no stoppage time has been announced. Oh, so 6 minutes was added on. Must have missed that when the goal was scored, but 6 minutes has been added on. We were into about 3 of those. And it's a Watford throw. They take it quickly. Baptiste trying to find McLean. Instead, Johns will get on the end of it and sprays a lovely ball out to Davison. Blades having to do some defensive duties. From distance, Palish testing Whitehouse over the crossbar as Whitehouse's arm was stretched, but it wasn't called into action as she was unable to find the strike on target. So Whitehouse with the goal kick. Out to this left-hand side. Cleared upfield by Hamilton with her first touch. Blades chases it to the touchline. Brilliant defending there to prevent that clearance from Lafayette from posing any real threat, but they have a throw and Howard will now have the duties to try and get it forward. Leon takes it beyond Hukin. Trying to thread it into Johns. Her first touch looked promising for a second, but now Lewes come forward. Can they reinstate that 2-goal advantage? Hand aiming to find Wriglar. Unable to do so, and it'll be cleared up. All Watford. It's been fairly all Watford all second half. Can they do enough to find a second and split the points? Olding. Out to play for a Watford throw. Olding's header, finding hand. Hazard. Chasing it, brilliant determination from Amelia Hazard, just shows too much of the ball there. And it will be a throw-in for Watford. Her hands are on her head. So the player of the match goes to Grace Wriglar. Who else but the player to get that first half brace? Which could be the reason why the Lewes have secured all 3 points. Olding intercepting, showing too much of that and leaving room in behind her. Johns trying to find Baptiste, but instead here's Haynes. Lewes with plenty of bodies back to try and prevent Watford from a second. Baptiste cuts it back onto her right, fierce ball in, falls to Johns. Here's Davison. It's a corner for Watford, they're not giving up. Nervy stuff here for the Rooks. Does it look like Davison just needed to sort her footing out and strike it at goal? Howard, the goalkeeper, reluctant to go upfield and feature in this corner. Played in, flicked on by Chandler. She keeps it alive as it's back out to Haynes. Another corner is the outcome, but the referee says no, and that is the end of the action. It was a 90th minute goal from Coral Haynes, which halved the deficit, but was not enough to prevent Lewes from dropping those 3 points that were won by the team, but most importantly, the player of the match, Grace Wriglar. Her first half brace was enough to see out the game and to seal the deal, to seal the 3 points. 3 huge points for the Rooks. They haven't left the drop zone, but they're 4 points away from Watford. A devastating result for them, but it ends here. Lewes 2, Watford 1.